Welcome to another segment of the Jermaine Brown Sports Talk Show. Today is Saturday, May the 28th, 2016. I want to talk about, the last time I was on, I spoke about the upcoming Super Bowl between the Carolina Panthers and the Denver Broncos. And I basically predicted that Carolina would win, and I didn't think the game would be close. Well, I was wrong on that front because basically the game was close, somewhat close, but Denver won. My hat's off to them. And the reason that I haven't been on since then is because basically there was nothing in sports, in my opinion, worthy of being talked about. I wasn't feeling this year's NFL draft, so I didn't want to talk about that. I wasn't feeling anything that was going on right now in sports, so I didn't really want to talk about it. But some interesting recent developments took place that I am interested in talking about. And that is this, the NBA playoffs, in particular, the conference finals. Now, Cleveland just disposed of Toronto in a 6 hard-fought game series. And first of all, before I get on to Cleveland, I want to send out my hats to Toronto and the country of Canada, or the city of Toronto and the country of Canada, because the way they represent it, I give them props. The fan base, that to me is what the NBA needed. A rabid fan base like that was good for not only the country of Canada, the city of Toronto. It was good not only for the organization of Toronto, but it was good for the entire NBA. So that's really a good thing. And not only that, they put up a worthy fight to Carolina. I think what they're missing is a third player or a scorer type of person, because too much of the onus was either on Lowry and or DeRozan. Now, what they got to hope for is that they can keep DeRozan from going to LA in free agency, but that's another topic for another day. But what they will need is a third scorer to help them out. That being said, they're on the right path. That being said, I want to talk about temporarily Cleveland, because Cleveland did what they needed to do. They got through the Eastern Conference. The first couple of rounds was relatively easy. Beating Detroit in the first round, in 4. They didn't expend too much energy there. And then beating Atlanta in 4. They didn't expend too much energy there. But where they spent the bulk of their energy was Toronto. And Toronto was a worthy opponent. And see, for those who want to knock Cleveland and say, well, they shouldn't have struggled against Toronto the way they did, wait a minute, folks. Toronto finished one game behind Cleveland as far as overall record in the conference. Cleveland was a 1 seed, Toronto was a 2 seed. So Toronto was a worthy opponent. But it's not even so much the Eastern Conference championship or finals that caught my eye, as it's so much as what's going on out west in the Western Conference. Now, you had 2 teams that was mostly talked about and ballyhooed all season long, and that was San Antonio and Golden State. Well, Golden State finished the season with the most wins of any team in the regular season, was 73. They beat the Bulls of 1996 that had 72 victories. Anyway, and then you had San Antonio, who had a great season in their own right. They had won 67 games, okay? They won 67 games, folks. This is San Antonio we're talking about. Usually San Antonio averages in the high 50s, low 60s. Here they averaged they won 67 games. That's nothing to sneeze at. And what is the most impressive is not Golden State or San Antonio. The most impressive is this 55-win team, regular season win team, by the name of Oklahoma City Thunder. And basically, what they did, they got through the first round. Okay, boom, ho-hum. I believe they beat Dallas. Still ho-hum, nothing special. Okay. Then came the second round. They got mollywopped in the first game. They got blown out. The game wasn't even close. I didn't even think the series would be close after that. I just thought that OKC would have just mailed it in. But somehow they found a way to beat the Spurs in 6. And the way they did it was, they basically went with a small lineup against the Spurs. And it worked. Well, actually, they went big. Sorry, they went big against the Spurs, and it worked. Okay, it worked. They used a lot of Adams. They used a lot of Cantor. Not so much Ibaka because the Spurs was able to handle him. But the thing is, it worked. And they beat San Antonio pretty good. And I owe San Antonio an apology because I thought San Antonio got old fast. That's what I thought happened. But the reason I owe them the apology is because I was mistaken. San Antonio did not get old fast, folks. Not after what you're watching what OKC is doing to Golden State. Okay? San Antonio did not get old fast. What happened was the Thunder got good fast. Really good fast. Oklahoma City upped their game to another notch or two. And what I should have realized is when Draymond Green, who's a power forward for the Golden State Warriors, said after Game 1 when OKC went to Golden State and beat them in Game 1, he said this, and it turned out to be an ominous warning at the time, but I didn't really heed it. He said, this is not the same OKC team we saw in the regular season. What was Draymond really saying? Oh, this is a much better team. This is a team that could actually win. What he was saying is the team in the regular season wouldn't be able to beat us, but this team could. That's what he was saying. And lo and behold, that is basically what has played out. Now, they had a 3-1 lead, and then they lost in Game 5, which they didn't play very well. The game was there to be won, but they didn't play very well. Too many turnovers, too sloppy. They played too much sloppily with the ball, and they got to clean certain things up. Okay? But that being said, they're at home right now. Tonight is going to be Game 6 of the Western Conference Finals between OKC and Golden State. But this is not Game 6, really, folks. This is Game 7, and I'm going to explain to you why. See, I have this view, and I've always had this when it comes to sports. In the best 4 out of 7, okay? And go back and check it out if you don't believe me. Teams that lose Game 6 at home, I don't like picking them in a Game 7 on the road. I just don't. Usually they do not do well, winning-wise. They don't win. They just don't count on it. If you lose Game 6 on the road, don't look to go at home. If you lose Game 6 at home, don't look to go on the road and win a Game 7. I think that's unrealistic. So what I'm saying is, so everybody is clear, if this is OKC's Game 7, because if they lose tonight, I believe they lose on Monday night. I am a believer of that, yes. I do not think they will go to the Oracle Arena in Golden State and beat Golden State in a Game 7. Not after losing a Game 6 when you was up 3-1 to begin with. That's why Steve Kerr came out and said, our job right now is to get this series back to Oakland, because he knows that if they get it back to Oakland, this series is over. So I look at it like, hold on. I look at it like this is OKC's must win. They got to win this game. They cannot lose this game. Because now your margin of error goes from this to nothing. Because a Game 7 is always 50-50 to begin with, but with a slight advantage tilted toward the home team. But from a psychological standpoint, if Golden State can get this series back to 7, they will have a psychological advantage like you will never know. Because then you will know, oh, we escaped one. Like, in other words, hey, we got this. And because it's also psychologically damaging for the team that was up 3-1 to be facing a Game 7 on the road. So to me, OKC has to play this game tonight like this is their game 7. Personally, I think they're going to close out the series anyway tonight, personally speaking. But we shall see. And should they close out this series tonight, then you're going to have a matchup of LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers versus Kevin Durant and the OKC Thunder. And regardless of whether it's OKC or Golden State, Cleveland's going to have their hands full. Regardless if it's OKC or Golden State, it's going to be I'm expecting a pretty good series. Because the one complaint that I had about these NBA playoffs, there was too many blowouts in a lot of these games. They were non-competitive. And blowouts, no. One is okay in a series, but when you have multiple blowouts and stuff like that in a series, it's like, okay, well, what's going on here? You know, so I look at it, and I think that, you know, like I said, I believe OKC is going to close it out tonight. My guess is they win by at least 15 points. They cover by at least 15 tonight. That's my guess. They'll cover about at least 15 tonight. And they'll go on and they'll face the Cleveland Cavaliers. And then we'll see from there. I'm not going to make a prediction in that series because, again, I don't know. Until it's official what the matchup is, I don't want to make it a prediction. But regardless who comes out the West, Cleveland's going to have its hands full. And Cleveland is going to have to, as they say, you know, buckle up the bootstraps because you're going to have your hands full. That's all I have to say about that. And so I want to thank you for watching another segment of the Jermaine Brown Sports Talk Show. Have a great day.